You need to get focused on what you do want, not what you don't want. So that's why we're going to get our plans together, ladies and gentlemen. Let me calm down so we can continue. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. It's Nikisha Bond, and we are still going through the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. If you're new here, welcome. You picked an awesome day to join us because we are going through law number 29, plan all the way to the end. Haven't I been talking about this? I feel like this is all I talk about. Let's get into it. The ending is everything. Plan all the way to it, taking into account all the possible consequences, obstacles, and twists of fortune that might reverse your hand, your hard work, and give the glory to others. By planning all the way to the end, you will not be overwhelmed by circumstances and you will know when to stop. Gently guide fortune and help determine the future by thinking far ahead. I love this. We're going to be planning to lead, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. Let's get into some keys to power. Because most people are too imprisoned in the moment to plan with this kind of foresight, the ability to ignore immediate dangers and pleasures translates into power. It is the power of being able to overcome the natural human tendency to react to things as they happen, and instead train oneself to step back, imagine the larger things taking shape beyond one's immediate vision. So, are you creating your life or are you just responding to life? This is so important because I think a lot of people, we have daydreams, right? Oh, I'd love to be rich one day. I'd love to be thin one day. I'd love to be, insert whatever it is that you want to be. I want to be married. I want to have a kid. But do we plan for it? Do we have like something written down? Like if I asked you, hey, I've got everything that you want. I'm going to give it to you. Where's your plan? Could you give it to me? Most people think that they have a plan, but they just have a dream. A goal without a plan is just a dream. And so I want you to get out of the dream state and get into the real tactical planning of your life. Actually create your life. You can get like scripting packages or something like that. Something that forces you to think about your life in all the different aspects and actually to focus on what you want. So often we get used to just focusing on the things that we don't want. And guess what? We see more of that. So if you want to change that, you need to get focused on what you do want, not what you don't want. So that's why we're going to get our plans together, ladies and gentlemen. Let me calm down so we can continue. Let's continue. They may believe that they are thinking all the way to the end, but they are really only focusing on happy ending and deluding themselves by strength of their desire. That's what I was saying. Write down your goals. You know, one of the things that I always do this time of year is I always start planning for 2024 because this is the busiest time of the year. But golly, if you didn't plan a couple of months ago, you are not going to be prepared to take advantage of the holiday season. This is where the majority of businesses make the majority of their money because of Christmas and all of the holidays that are going on. So if you didn't plan for it, you might have missed it. But guess what? You're going to be early for 2024. So if you start planning now for 2024, you'll be right on time. That's what I like to do. So much of power is not what you do, but what you do not do. The rash and foolish actions that you refrain from before you get into trouble. Plan in detail before you act. Do not let the vague plans lead you into trouble. I wrote a note here that you want to wait and respond. Your response should be on your plan. Like, I don't ever advise you to respond to anything in the moment. If somebody says something to you or does something to you, never respond in that moment. Always take a step back so that you can plan your response because you got to figure out, how does this impact my overall plan? What message do I want to display? How do I want to show up in power in this particular situation? And you can do that by not responding and just say, okay, I'll think about it, or I'll get back to you on that, or let me see. You can always use those type of statements to give you time to think about what it is that you actually want to say, how you want to maneuver, how does this interact with your plan, and how do you want to move forward from here? So I don't know if that's what they were saying, because it was really about, making sure that you are looking at all of the different unintended consequences that can happen, which I think is important too. But I also think that you want to stop. A lot of unintended consequences can be avoided if we just stopped and didn't react in the moment. There's so many people who don't have that filter that says, hey, hold on, before I say something, let me think. They just like, I feel like this and you're about to hear what I have to say. And that's great. And I love that for you. I really do. I wish that always worked out perfectly, but it really doesn't. And it doesn't put you in a seat of power because now you're basically throwing the ball over into their court versus how did I want to put the ball back into their court? You got to be a little more strategic than that. Got to be quicker than that. Oh. Anyways, okay. The ending is everything. It is the end of the action that determines who gets the glory, the money, and the prize. Your conclusion must be crystal clear, and you must keep it constantly in your mind. You must also figure out how to ward off the vultures circling ahead, trying to live off the carcass of your creation. So you have to begin with the end in mind. Where is it that you want to go? What is it that you want at the end of the day? And work backwards from there. And they say, okay, if they do this, I'm going to do this. If they do this, I'm going to do this. If they do this, I'm going to do that. And then if that happens, I might need to stop so I can come back and then redo the plan all over here. That's really how you have to be thinking in almost every interaction. And I understand that might suck, right? Nobody really wants to spend that much time thinking and planning ahead, but we want to focus on the end when we're planning anything. What is it that you actually want? Because you might have one end goal and there might be 100 steps that you got to do to get to that end goal, but you at least want to know what that is and all the different paths that can get you there and all the things that can go wrong. If you were to map it all out, just the fact that you mapped it and you planned it would make you feel a lot better about going on that journey, because now you know in certain situations what you're going to do and how you're going to respond. And the more unknowns that we can figure out, a lot of times it makes it a little easier for us to move forward. So there's a little tip. Let's mosey on over to the reversal of the law, shall we? Your plan must include alternatives and have a degree of flexibility, of course. That is certainly true. If you are locked into a plan too rigidly, you will be unable to deal with all the sudden shifts of fortune. So I think that when you're doing your goals, you want to have a quarterly review. That's why I was saying, like right now, start planning for Q1. And then at the end of Q1, you want to look at how does the rest of the year look like? How does that impact my 5-year plan? How does that impact my 10-year plan? And I get it. Some people, they like the fly by the moment. And that's great. And I love that for you. And you should keep doing that. But you want to know where you're flying off to, right? Like those squirrels that fly, they open up, but they know that they're going to that tree over there. They're just not out there flying in the wind. So that's what I want for you is I want you to, where was I going with that? Hold on a second. Oh, yeah. Going back to quarterly reviews. Always have a plan. But if you're one of those people who likes to improvise and go off the beaten path, great. But then come back and do a quarterly review to make sure that, hey, you're still in line with what you want to do. Things haven't changed, or maybe even new opportunities have opened up that might be even more interesting or might get you there a little bit faster, or they might be the path of least resistance. So many different things can happen. So you want to make sure that you have your goals that you're looking at all the time and that you're going back to them and reviewing them every single quarter. Let's get into my final thoughts. Okay, so my final thoughts are: you need a plan. You need a plan. You need a plan. You need a plan. Everybody needs a plan. And if you had a plan, you would be approaching life with so much more, what's the word I'm looking for? Confidence. Yes, you would have confidence because you know what's going to happen, or you know what you're going to do about what happens, because you can't control what happens to you. All these things have happened in life that we didn't plan for, right? There's things happening right now that I'm not planning for. But guess what? I'm always in control of my response. And what is my response based on? It's based on my plan. So you have a plan so that you know how to respond. You know what you want to do. You know where you want to go. You know if that's a good opportunity to take. You know if that's not a good opportunity to take. You know if this cult leader is trying to get you in, whether or not that's something that you need. I'm just kidding. If you watched the last one, you know. But anyways, my overall is that you want to have a plan. You want to know where you're going. You want to know how you're going to respond. You want to know what you're going to do. And that will make you more confident in this world. If you always feel like the world is just slapping you around and picking you up and dropping you in different places and you have absolutely no control, that is frustrating. That is frightening. That makes life a real danger to live with. But guess what? If you had a plan and you knew what you wanted to do every day, you knew how you wanted to act, you knew how you wanted to show up, and you knew the things that you needed to help you in the gap of what you don't have. Because maybe the goal that you have is really far out there, right? And it's so far you're like, I don't know if I can ever get there. You can have a plan of how you're going to get there. Okay, well, I need to learn this, and I need to learn this, and I need to meet these type of people, and I need to do these types of things. And just knowing that, guess what's going to happen? It's going to light up your reticular activating system. And when those opportunities come up, your brain's going to be like, oh, see, that's part of your plan. Look at that. Oh, see, that's part of your plan. Look at that. Oh, see, that's part of your plan. Look at that. What happens to people is that they don't have a plan. They just have a dream. And now they just get caught up in the circumstances of life, everyday life. And guess what? They get so used to looking at life because they're not planning anything that they're just responding to life. Life happens, they respond to it. Life happens, they respond to it. But what you're going to do is you're going to create life. You're going to make life happen in the way that you want it to happen. And how can you do that? Because you have a plan. Anybody who has a plan is going to get further than someone who doesn't have a plan. I know I've gone on and on and on and on and on about this, but can I tell you that you need a plan? I don't know if I mentioned that, because that's what this chapter is all about. Law 29, plan all the way to the end, but you need a plan. Even if it's not all the way to the end, even if all you can plan out is to the end of next year, have a plan. This is Nikisha Bond telling you, if you have a plan like this, If you have a plan, leave a comment. If you have a plan, subscribe. And that's it. We'll see you next time for, hold on, let's see. What law do we have next time? Make your accomplishments seem effortless. I'm interested in that. So we will see you next time with Law 30. But for right now, enjoy Law 29. And I'll see you next time. Bye.